You may notice some lane closures near Paseo del Norte and I-25 for the rest of this week. It's, of course, all part of the interchange construction project. Starting at 9 o'clock tonight, there will be some lane closures on the I-25 Paseo Bridge. All lanes should reopen by 5 tomorrow morning. But then there will also be lane closures on the Paseo Frontage Road between I-25 and Jefferson between 9 tomorrow and 3 p.m. and also on Friday. Major construction on the interchange won't start until after Balloon Fiesta.
The Fiesta attracts hundreds of thousands of people to Albuquerque every year. But how do you get them to stay here for more than just the balloons? Stuart Dyson is here now with Bernalillo County's new pitch to convince Fiesta goers to stick around a little longer. Stu.
Tom, we're more than you think. That's the county's promo slogan nowadays. And in this case, it means there's more to do after the balloons are gone and the last breakfast burrito is in your gizzard. Tourists will see it first when they get off the plane at the Sunport and head down to get their bags. We're More Than You Think will be accompanied by ads promoting things to do after the Balloon Fiesta. We know that about 750,000 people attend the Fiesta these days, most of them from out of the Albuquerque metro, many of them from out of state. Tourists spend an average of about $200 a day, and about 1/3 of them spend at least one extra day in New Mexico. The Stay One More Night campaign is aimed at increasing that.
Give them an opportunity to see that community and, of course, get them to spend some money. Of course, tourism is a huge industry in New Mexico. I think it's the second largest industry. It's a clean industry. It means a lot of jobs to us.
A quick check with tourists in Old Town shows that it might not be a hard sell after all.
I love the beaches in California and all the weather, but your weather is fabulous. And it's the spiritual and the artistic things you have going on here.
I love the people. The people have been so friendly and nice and helpful. And it's just a beautiful state, and we're just having so much fun.
Well, heck, how about staying 2 more nights then? Events that may keep them around include the Taste of New Mexico food fair at Civic Plaza and the local food festival, a really cool event down in the South Valley on the last weekend of the balloons. Back to you.
Good stuff. Thank you, Stuart. Balloon Fiesta may be 3 weeks away, but here at KOB TV, we're already preparing for our coverage of the event. Our team will be live on the field every weekday morning. That's when you'll be able to see live coverage of the Mass Ascensions. Balloon Fiesta starts Saturday, October 5th and ends Sunday, the 13th.
A public meeting on some proposed changes to the Bosque has been postponed. We showed you how hundreds of people were at last week's public meeting, many of them against the city's plan. The city wants to build a consolidated path in the Bosque between the Central Avenue Bridge and the I-40 River crossing. There was supposed to be another meeting on this next week on the 18th, but the city says it still needs time to go over all the comments people made last week. A new date for the next meeting hasn't been set yet.
Police say alcohol was a factor in a fight that left a Santa Fe man dead. Orlando Yazzie is now in custody, accused of killing 55-year-old Mark Janelle. His body was found near Rosario Cemetery yesterday. Police say Yazzie got into a fight with a victim earlier that day, kicking him in the head. Yazzie told police he did it because the victim was mouthing off and being racial. Police say both men are homeless. This is the first murder in Santa Fe this year.
My thoughts were to all the people that were inside the buildings and all the public safety officers that were going to respond to it.
Most of us will never forget where we were when we saw this. It has been 12 years since terrorists hijacked 4 planes and attacked the U.S. on September 11, 2001. Here in Albuquerque, people gathered at Civic Plaza to remember the thousands who died that day and the thousands who have died fighting wars since then.
All 4 airliners were crashed within 1 hour and 17 minutes of each other.
2,977 innocent lives taken in the 9/11 terrorist attacks. The events of that day 12 years ago have come to mean a lot of different things.
The images of 9/11 will forever be etched in our minds. It's one of those dates for which we will always remember where we were.
It's a day to recognize our emergency responders for their services and sacrifices. And it's a day of hope that one day we'll live in a world free of oppression and fear.
Albuquerque may be 1,800 miles away from the World Trade Center, 1,600 miles away from the Pentagon, and 1,500 miles from that field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. But the terrorist attacks 12 years ago are etched just as deep into our memories here in New Mexico. And for most, something they'll never forget.
Thousands who died that day, whether they were firefighters, police personnel, or just ordinary men and women working a 9-to-5 job, their loss represents a monumental tragedy in our history.
Local firefighters climbed the stairs of the Bank of Albuquerque building to honor the 9/11 first responders. The firefighters carried up to 80 pounds of gear as they went up and down 110 flights of stairs.
It's our way of reflecting, our way of honoring those men that went up the stairs that day, and we honor them by finishing that climb for them.
A total of 343 firefighters died on 9/11. This stair climb is held every year to honor them.
At Ground Zero today, hundreds of people paused to remember the nearly 3,000 victims of the terror attacks.
Toniel F. McDay.
The names were read there. There were also memorial services at the Pentagon and where a plane went down in rural Pennsylvania. A museum to honor the victims and the new Freedom Tower are expected to open in New York early next year.
Farmington officials and veterans groups took time today to honor one of their fallen heroes. A portrait was unveiled today at the Farmington Museum. It's for Congressional Medal of Honor recipient Lance Corporal Kenneth Worley. Worley fought in the Vietnam War, where he threw himself on a grenade to save 5 of his fellow Marines.
When somebody throws himself on a grenade like Kenneth Worley did to save his fellow men, he didn't have time to think about it. That was in his heart, and he did the right thing at the right time for the right reasons.
Worley was a native of Farmington. His portrait will remain on display at the Farmington Museum.
Albuquerque police think a master key was stolen and then used to burglarize units at an Albuquerque apartment complex. So are the people who live there safe right now? We're working to get answers from management tonight at 10.
An Albuquerque man is now a millionaire. Glenn Farnsworth won $1 million in Saturday's Powerball drawing. His quick pick ticket matched everything except the red Powerball number. Farnsworth says he's thinking of buying a home with his winnings. He can afford one. He bought the ticket at the Circle K, the one on Juan Tabo and Lomas. That store is going to get $2,500 for selling a winning ticket.
Just weeks into the season, a New Mexico high school is getting rid of its varsity football team. We find out why.
Could New Mexico be the next state to legalize recreational marijuana? Hear one lawmaker's proposal next at 6.
You're watching KOB Eyewitness News 4 with Tom Joles, Nicole Brady, and weather with lead forecaster Eddie Garcia.